Going to get a coffee. Going to get a coffee. Well, here it goes. Sorry, I need to orientate myself. Which way's north? That way's north. I might turn the autosave off. Turn the autosave off. Settings. Auto saving off. Apply. Right, so what do I want to do here? We've got some sulphuric acid there. So, let's put some sound on. I don't normally have the sound on. I don't like the oh, I'm going to need to use headphones, aren't I? Have a look at I have to use headphones. Take the mic off. Change the audio. Change the audio to come out of. There we go. So, where's the microphone in this? I doubt if it's in the base, it must be in the top. And that sound's driving me up the wall. Anyway, that's what it is. Right, turn it down. Spotify, get rid of Spotify. Steam. Yep. red source. Okay, get a couple in there. Right. One there. Let's try moving that back. Okay. What can we fit in here? Nothing else, but we can get 4 feeds off that. What have we got here? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And there are only 12 feeds there. So that's done. That's a done deal. Now just to work out exactly where to go. So best place is probably to start there. I need some more conveyor belts. So I have conveyor belts coming in here. Let's build this baby. I'm going to try and not hit that. Ah, right, okay, so we need to think about this. We've got to bring all of these pumping stations around to this ILS here. All of these pumping stations around to this ILS here. So I've got to work my way around so that I can actually fit them. So I'm probably going to go to there. And bring this around that way. Yeah. I said there were 11, didn't I? I'm going to go to here. Well, we can always rejig it. It doesn't matter. So I just lay out roughly initially and then work out any problems afterwards. Although I'm drawing sulphuric acid on this, ordinarily I wouldn't, but I'm going to be storing a lot of sulphuric acid on this planet, so it doesn't matter to let it run down the line. And I'm just going with the topology. This is going to be a set once and forget, but I don't want to spend too much time trying to finesse it. Although I do want everything to fit in. So let's see here, I'm going to bring that down there. Over there. And in there. Alright, what other feeds do I need to bring around? I've got 4 feeds that I need to bring around there. So we're going to go there. That'll work. There. That's 3 in there. Next one. Bring that along there. That's all the feeds taken from that lake. That's brilliant. Well, number 4 to fit in. We've got a spare. There is a lake here. I'm going to do something with that, but not quite yet. So I'm going to take this feed let's go to there and then bring that straight in. And that feed, these 3 feeds I'm going to have to take around. See, that one I'll take in. So around there. The other 2 I'll take around the outside. To that point, and in. And don't waste. So I try not to waste the conveyors. Don't want it to go where it's not absolutely necessary. But at the same time, don't build everything too tight. If you build everything too tight, then when you want to make an adjustment, you can't. There we go. Need a bit of power. So, let's have a look to see how we're looking for the grid. 2.5 grid spacing, that's smack there for where I would normally place power. So I'm just going to go off piste. Put it there for now. Put some, oh, I need some ships. I need some ships, I don't have any ships. Let's have 1,000 ships. Drones, rather. Alright, that's full. Oh, that's actually. No, that one. Full. Control click fills up these panels. That is sulphuric acid. That is now going to start filling up. So what do we do with these intermediate stations? There's nothing around this station, so what's it here for? Well, this is here for sulphuric acid storage. And look, there's another lake, so let's take this lake as well. Let's see if I just splash. So let's see if we can get something on that. I'm out of water pumps. Water pumps. Not there. Are they there? Yes, they are. Let's have a couple of 100 water pumps. That's finally emptied. Good. Originally, this planet was set up so that sulphuric acid was shipped from PLS, planetary logistics stations. Look at that, number 3, local station number 3. So this might have been quite early. Shipping it to here, then off the planet. That gives you 10,000 in storage. 10,000 in storage and 10 ships. Well, the point I'm at in the game, we need a much higher throughput. So we don't need 10,000. We need 10,000, 10,000, 10,000, 10,000. In fact, we're going to have almost 1 million. In fact, no, more than 1 million sulphuric acid in storage on this planet, ready for delivery, and it's going to be supplied by all of these lakes. So there aren't that many actually on the planet. There's actually only there's one major area there. There's one major area there. So an area there, big one right in the polar zone where I put power. So that's right in the way. I'm going to have to work around that. All of these ILS are going to have a power demand. Okay, and to cater for that power demand, we're going to have to extend these these ray receivers out. So it's going to start to encroach on this lake as well here. That's a problem. But we'll see how we go. I mean, there generally won't be a lot of traffic. I've set these areas up already. So in fact, this one is directed into the wrong place because I wasn't thinking big enough. When I set these up, I just set up for the nearer one. I just went, oh, there's some spare feed to put it into there. But in fact, it should feed into that station shortest runs possible. and that's already taking a feed, so we'll continue to do so. And I've got some stations to fill in here. This is where I marked out the grid when I first landed on the planet, and I'm just gradually working my way around the planet. So step by step, but making sure at each stage that I've got lots and lots of sulphuric acid to be able to cope for the demand. So what's my current demand in entire star cluster for sulphuric acid? Is probably pretty idle at the moment, actually, but it wasn't. No. So our current consumption is 7,500. We're producing 8,600, so we're already in the green zone. We're looking good. But I will complete the planet, because then it's done. It will never be used again. It will never need to be edited again until I scale up production of white science. Now, white science is currently running at 3,744, but that is theoretically can go up to, in the build that I've made, up to over 7,000. And if I increase this to 7,000, there is going to be a pull and demand on all resources, because white science requires all colour science to be able to produce white science. So it basically draws off just about everything. Let's have a look. Magnets and circuit boards. Hydrogen, got tons of that. Energetic graphite, okay. Diamonds, not a problem. Titanium crystals, dependent on organic crystals, possibly a problem. Processors, I know that processor creation is deficient still. I've scaled it once, I need to scale it again. Plastic, so there's particle broadband there. Particle broadband requires plastic. Plastic is a resource that requires crude oil, so that's going to be a problem. Processors, you can never make enough processors. They take an enormous amount of materials. They take circuit boards, they take microcrystalline components, so they're a problem. That's an unknown zone. I definitely not making enough nanochips. Graviton lenses are okay, actually, but I suspect that they will be. I would need to scale it. I'm not sure they could deliver at the rate needed currently if I doubled the production of white science, and white science is just dependent on everything else. Antimatter. So what's production of antimatter like? I think it's all probably quite good. See, that needs scaling. Carbon nanotubes. I'm going to need a planet for that. Carbon nanotubes. That's that spiniform. I'm just going to call it spiniform. That's a resource heavily present on water worlds, and I've got one water world in the system. I'm pretty sure my supply that's okay, so I just need to set a planet up to make a lot of that. I mean a lot. 5 bands around the equator of the planet. I'm not talking about just a few production lines. We're talking. I do whole loops, full loops around the entire planet. So, moving on. Deuterium fuel rods are required to create rockets. That's sufficient at the moment. My demand is around 2,000. My theoretical maximum is 6,500. But if I absolutely maxed everything, this interface is telling me that it would require 36,000 per minute to keep up with production. So I'm going to need to scale deuterium fuel rods at some point. Critical photons with borderline okay. And critical photons go into making antimatter. And it's saying I can make tons of antimatter. 19,000. And my theoretical demand is only 4,600. So antimatter, not an issue. Deuterium, not an issue. I recently sorted out a deuterium planet on the nearest system that had a deuterium gas giant to my home system. So I believe I have sorted out deuterium production for the foreseeable future. Hydrogen, I have orbital collectors around every single gas giant in my sector, 40 orbital collectors, in conjunction with, and there's all the byproducts from all the other production lines, and that's telling me that I can produce up to 6.09 million per minute. I don't think that's necessarily possible, but certainly sulphuric acid was in the toilet. It wasn't able to deliver at the rate needed when I put down another line of titanium alloy, so that really needs to be improved. This doesn't look loud enough, but anyway. Refined oil is the elephant in the room. Crude oil is a real problem since the changes to half-life. So I've not done anything with that for probably, I don't know, 400 or 500 hours, but it's all still ticking along. So I'm not poking that beast at the moment, but I will have to at some point. Water production, enough. We're producing at the rate we're supplying. The theoretical max is near double what the current consumption is. Solar cells are fine, photocombiners are fine, but I'm going to need to move that production line at some point. Particle broadband is okay as it is. I might need to scale that up, we'll see. Plane filters. Plane filters feed into quantum chips. Quantum chips are going to need a lot of plane filters, so I need to double plane filters and I need to double quantum chips, as simple as that. Microcrystalline, and they will create a pull on microcrystalline components. So everything demands everything else. So these numbers are going to change. They're not going to stay static. And I don't mean the production rates. The demand, the theoretical demand, is going to change. So we're right borderline with the processors. We can go up to 24K. I've seen this at 22K, and theoretically the systems we have in place at the moment could demand up to 81K per minute of processors, so I would want to scale that. I only scale it until it stops going, presently, I only scale it until it stops going yellow. Strange matter, massive power requirement, 3 gigawatts for an entire band around a planet, and seeing as I can normally pull down around 6 to 7 gigawatts on a planet, that pretty much consumes all of the power that I'm going to deploy to a planet, in the way that I build out. So 1 band per planet is probably tops. But 1 band is 280 particle colliders, so it's a lot. I know that these metrics are wrong, right? Because to make strange matter requires 2 particle containers. Where is that? Strange matter requires 2 particle, so 2 purple containers. Well, where was that? Go back. If strange matter theoretical maximum is 12K per minute, then the theoretical maximum particle containers should be 24K, unless they take half the time to produce. And that's the question. 1 every 4 seconds. 1 every 8 seconds. Okay, they're 1 for 1. So we produce 2 purple containers in the time that it takes to produce 1 green. So actually they are 1 to 1. How is the Dyson Sphere build out going? Fine, a lot of it's done. I could only build this one section because I couldn't actually see where I was placing the lines. It's already up to 45 gigawatts. This one's going to be a biggie. That little thing in the middle, that was my original Dyson Sphere. That is 1.2 gigawatts that was originally powering the system. But now there's this 45 gigawatt beast around the outside. Right, where were we? Going through some statistics. All that looks good. It's all scaled correctly. Hello, baby. I'm streaming. I've got no audience, but I'm streaming. Right, actually, that's the point. I need to go to the shops. Are you picking up Evan?
Yeah.
Right, when he comes back, we'll go to the shops. How was your lunch? Really good. You're transmitting to the internet. So, yeah, I am. Seriously, I'm live.
Put it on mute or something.
No, it's on. It's live. Hang on. Let me see if it can. Okay, right. Carrying on. Yeah, I've done a lot of work on scaling. I don't know if the viewer is me. I have a viewer. That's interesting. Okay. I've done a lot of work on scaling up things like iron ingots, and even that it's not, 500,000 compared to 800, but the production rate is actually meeting the consumption rate, so that's okay for now for the type of load that I'm pulling on it. But we can see that really, if everything kicked off, this 567,000 would not be able to keep up with the 835,000 of the theoretical demand. So that all draws on iron ore. We've got tons of iron ore production, or potential production, 1.8 million, but my demand is 926,000. So I'm going to need to find additional sources of iron to make that, to give it some headroom. It's over at the moment. We're fine. But at the same time, these iron ore nodes are depleting, so we're going to need to replace them. So working against the depletion is an upgrade known as veins utilisation. I've got it up to level 148, and the upshot of that is that my ore consumption and minor product is 0.01%. So the way this works is for every one, let's say it's 1%, for every one iron ore that's mined from a node, I will get 100. Okay, but I'm 0.01%, so it's in the thousands, basically. I'll get 1,000 ore out of a node before it even ticks down 1. But it's still a finite resource. I need that down to 0. Okay, and I believe that level 150 is the 0 point. It will hit 0 at level 150. I did some calculations on this, but that's not 0. Actually, the discussions on the internet say that you actually need to get veins utilisation up to level 350 to be able to completely make ore infinite. The only other upgrade I really pump into is this one, logistics carriers. This is the speed that ships, logistics carrier engine. This is the speed that ships go between planets, and their warp speed and their speed within a system. So that one's worth pumping, and it also increases the drone speed as well. So the drones move faster between ILS. The rest of these, I've got ray transmission. Ray transmission is down to 0.003. That originally was 2 digits and it hit 0. So there is some efficiency to be gained there, but it's not a lot. So I basically get 100% efficiency out of my ray receivers for the Dyson Sphere. The rest of these are upgrades to the mech, and they improve how that works. Now my mech is powerful enough. It doesn't need any more. The mecha warp speed, the higher that is, the faster your mech warps between planets. But, and this is the problem, you tend to overshoot the planet because you're going in so fast, you're coming in so hot. There's no autopilot, so that's actually a problem. I'd rather that be slower. Drone engine. So this is the speed that the construction drones will fly out and build things. That needed to be boosted after blueprints, because when we lay down an entire loop of production, the drones need to move fast because you've got a lot of units to put down. Energy circuit is how fast to recharge, and I've got tons. What are we at? My mech is 36.7 gigajoules. I very rarely need to do anything with power. Let's go back in there. Communication control. The number of drones that you can control. I understand that this gets bugged if it goes too high. So perhaps level 20. So I've not really pushed that much more. I may do at some point. Hopefully they'll fix that. And the mecha core that's actually the capacity. So that's where the 36 gigajoules has come from, and this is actually how fast I recover energy. It's more than enough. This literally, it may dip to about here and then comes back up again. This mech is like super robust. And I carry antimatter fuel rods. A bit low on some warpers there. So I'll need to call some warpers from the tower at some point. Alright, what we're going to do, we're going to put let's continue with this. We've got some, need a liquid source. This build, of course, is, we're going to continue with the pumping stations. Need a liquid source. So although it can see it, we can see it there, it can't actually touch it. So, what's over there? Doesn't matter which way we go. I want to try and get a pumping station on both sides. And if I stick that there, I'm not going to get one both sides. So I want to keep these as far back as possible. And I'm maximising the available sulphuric acid on this planet. You cannot excavate. If I concrete over these puddles, I can't get them back as the game stands. So I need to maximise as much of this as possible. There is a gap there. Oh, it sits right in the middle. So on a 2.5 grid space, and the station would sit there. I could, going against exactly what I just said, shave off that corner and put a station down. Don't need to. I'm going to sneeze. Excuse me. So, that'll do. I'll plug that into a tower. Plug that. Which way's north? I've lost myself again. Right. I tell you, building was all over the place initially, but I tend to build north and then go left to right around the planet. So that's my flow. It's not always like that. It's fairly random, but if you have some sort of point of reference, then it helps. Okay, I'm going to move that. Oh dear. No. Oh god. Damn. Oh, I've really ballsed up there. Alright. Sorry. Clear. Okay, this sulphuric acid is an infinite resource, so it actually doesn't matter so much. But that's going to be a real pain to pick up. But I am going to pick it up. Because I don't waste resources. I just wanted to move it to the top slot. I don't waste resources, even the infinite ones. It's an object lesson in doing things correctly. I see streamers, they'll go and clear this, which I don't think is the right approach. Gets into some very bad habits. full again. He's only stacked to 20. This is one of the reasons why I use ILS. I don't use storage tanks. Storage tanks can hold 10,000, but they've only got 4 exits, so 4 inputs, outputs. So getting material out of them is slow. Getting material into them is slow. So clean up. Nearly there. Alright. You're there. I try to build consistently where I can. 6 more. Thank you. Try to build consistently and repeatably. Right, we've got some there. Some spare, and that's fine. That needs to be on local demand. So I've decided I'm moving the acid to the top. And if we look at one of these other ones, we'll see it's not. It's down the bottom there. I will fix that at some point. I'll move the acid to the top. I put warpers in the bottom slot. So warpers come in the bottom slot. I do not join stations up with conveyor belts. I understand that this is a method that you can use if you've got very few drones or to maximise the slot, but I've found that actually if you build to the methods that I build to, you don't need all slots in an ILS. No production takes more than 4 units, 4 materials to build. Okay, it takes, if we daisy chain from one tower to the next, there are 3 materials in and 1 out. So we put our output on that station, 3 materials are in there. We can loop all the way around the planet. Oh, actually, I'll leave this for now because I'm going to cover that when we go to one of the planets that's got a full loop on it, and you'll understand exactly what I mean. For now, let's stick to the sulphuric acid, I think. Okay. So, I need to get that into a station. I think that's the nearest station. I'll take it there. And that's just going to augment that supply. Individual feeds, purely because they're faster. If we daisy chain, alright, I need to go around. Show you what the daisy chain looks like. When I first came to this planet, this is how I set these up. I found that 3 or 4 would absolutely fill a belt, so that's maximised totally. But I've only got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 feeds into that ILS. With only 10 ILS on the planet, that station couldn't keep up with the demand. If I'm demanding 100,000 sulphuric acid, then there's no way that 20,000 is going to keep up. Right, that's done. So, what are we going to do with that spare? Get back to one of these points. There we go. That can go in there. Oop. Remote demand. So, each of these ILSs, these spare ILSs, is going to be a storage tank. It is going to demand 10,000 sulphuric acid locally, and then supply that remotely. So when I put a high load onto this environment, it will be able to deliver up to 1 million without any stress. Then the idea is that all of these pumping stations will eventually refill those stations. So you cannot run continuously at very high demand, but I will be able to supply enough that would be able to cope in a very extended run time. And we're talking, talking hours or whatever. It's not, it won't run out that quickly. And how do we increase that? We build another one of these on another sulphuric acid planet. But yes, I don't know if I explained. I worked out that you can completely circle a planet with ILS, the logistic stations, I also worked out initially that it was 10. Then through solving certain issues, I found that actually the optimal division was 20, and then I found that you can actually go down to 2.5. And it was more recently that I found that actually the vertical spacing, if we want to create these bands around the equatorial zone, where they're all uniform, where all blueprints are uniform, we can get 5 bands. I call this band E for the equator. This was what I marked out very early on when I came to the planet. I marked out the equator, and all the spacings around are all 2.5 grids apart, 5 grids between ILS, so I need to fill these in. I'm going to fill these in with more logistic stations, and every single one of these logistic stations is going to be taking 10,000 sulphuric acid ready to deploy to a remote site. There's some iron ore. So this planet's going to be set up for delivering sulphuric acid and for delivering ore where it's prevalent. So I will need to pick up on all these. This is Gen 1 when I first came here, but I'm going to need to pick up on those. I suppose if we do each band one at a time, it will become obvious what we're doing, why we're doing it. So a little bit of uniformity. Let's get some power in there. We don't need. Oh no, I'll walk around. I was going to do it. I was going to say we can do that by flying, via planet view, but I will do it from this view. We need some drones. We need some ships. We need some local demand. Let's see how fast that fills, right? The reason that's filling fast is because we've got, at the moment, fairly low demand on this environment. And these stations that are hooked into the pumping stations are able to supply very quickly. Now, each one of these pools is an asset, so we need to protect those as much as possible. Next one. Some drones, some ships, some sulphuric acid. There we go. Next one. I'd usually do this in planet view. Local demand. Next. Running low on ships. Interstellar vessels. More sulphuric acid. More ships. Now I'm going to fill this planet, probably, with ILS. I'm going to be on the major grid lines. So there's a major grid line. That's where it comes out the front face of, there are four meridians. So I'll probably start off there, and I will go all the way up there. There will be stations all the way up as far as the interface with the, ray receivers. And we can see this is a standard unit that I've put down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This can deliver 3.59 gigawatts. That's pretty good on this planet. So it's a factor of the brightness of the star and how long the ray receivers are exposed to sunlight for. Okay, where we were. Where's north? Where did I just set that? Oh yeah, there's north. Alright, so we've done that band. I've done that one. So let's put some in there. Some drones, some ships. Using this technique, I believe it's possible to scale a resource much higher. Caching, you're basically caching. Scale a resource much higher than the supply, in the hope that the cache does not get depleted. Well, fully depleted, because as soon as that happens, then you're just down to the capacity of your actual supply. But I believe that should be the case when we scale it this high. Right, I need some more ships. Ships. 500 will do. How do we do on conveyor belts? Let's have those. Right. That's nice and quiet when it goes up to there. Local demand. Right, so that one's supplying. There is not a great deal of, there's not a great deal of sulphuric acid pools on this planet, and I'm hoping that all of these will supply at the rate needed. I think we've done this right. So that's a supply, that's a cache, cache, no, not set. Demand. Next one. Got to make sure we get ships in there, otherwise it's not going anywhere. Ships and warpers. Ships and warpers, and drones as well. Drones. Local demand. Drones, please. Ships. Next one. Next. And if we go fast on this, we should be able to see how that actually copes, because that would simulate a demand, a real demand. You can see it's going, it's working. Well, so far at the rate I'm going, I'm demanding 10,000 and it's coming in. Demand. I mean, that's quite a lot. That would be more. This would be more than anything that could produce that slowing. So we might be stressing the system. That's pretty good. That didn't go in. There we go. 50 drones. That one's in. I need some more drones. Okay. Where are drones? There. Take all 1,000 of those. Another 1,000 are going to be shipped from Homeworld or manufactured and shipped. Fill. Sulphuric acid. Local demand. It's keeping up. And that feeds into the stat we looked at earlier that said the production rate would be around 80,000 per minute. So that's 10,000 every 10 seconds or so. More than able to keep up. Alright, I'm going to fly over there now. I need to fill in some power. Yeah, so next bank. Let's get up. Alright, so there's some mining to set up there. Some mining and power. Join the power grid up. I'm not building anything in between these stations. Ordinarily there'd be a production line in between there. But I don't want to do that on this planet. Because I really need the ore, and I need the ore on planets that are relatively close to my centre of production. I need to place another station there, so that one needs to go. I have a blueprint for that. Which is an ILS with 4 Tesla towers. So they're in. These wireless power towers are really good for stretching long distances. They'll stretch about 3 units, and as I said, 2.5 units is closest spacing that you can put an ILS. So this all seems to be deliberate. It's not random. They really thought about the how things hang together. Right, so titanium. Let's get down because that's really noisy. Maybe I could change the sound of the engines. Settings. Sound effect. Maybe we'll drop that a bit and drop that a bit. That's really quite loud. Well, unless it's not loud for you, I suppose that's the point, isn't it? I can't really tell, so I would need your feedback. Right, where are we? We're putting some miners now. Fairly on, right? So first of all, I started off building miners like this. 90 degrees, 90 degrees, 90 degrees. Then I got into this. Ooh, we can rotate and get it into the maximum. And what I was doing was covering all our nodes with just one thing. Now I don't bother. I'm like, right, I'm going to do this. That fits. That fits. Put more miners in, right? So the reason for that is the more miners you've got and the more nodes you can share nodes. The more nodes that you're drawing from, the more ore you can deliver per minute. Of course, the ore will deplete quicker per minute as well. But my veins utilization is so high that is not a problem for me. So I want this to draw as much as quickly as possible. And the answer to that is to put as many miners down as possible. Okay, and then it's just simpler just to put it down there. So I'm going to stick another one in there. There are 9. No, they're not. There are 12 ports on an ILS. So I don't want to put down any more than 12, but we can generally get down about what have we got now? 3, 7. We can generally get down 8 without a problem, and we can deliver that to all the ports. So that is going to deliver that, and right. So we got to. I need to maximise the ports. So 2 units out really is optimal. That's a funny old kink. I'm going to go like that. I want to get into all 3 of these ports. I only build with Mark 3s. In fact, that's not strictly true. I've got some recipes that deliberately use Mark 1s and 2s, but that's a very specific use case. It's for building manufacture. We'll cover that in a future video. So it's a maximum speed at which a Mark 3 conveyor belt can deliver materials, or a Mark 3 assembler can make a product. Right, I'm going to go there. Actually, why did I do that? Can I kink that? I can. Save some. Can I kink that? Can. It's a bit. I can get 1 in. Yeah. So I can get that in there. This is the only spaghetti I do. Miners and pumpers. Otherwise I do not do spaghetti. You'll see this when we go and visit another planet. Of course I started with spaghetti. Everybody does. Take that there. Yeah. Everybody starts with spaghetti. And then, as you get a bit more clued up, you realise it's not necessary. When you get to 1,900 hours in a single save, as I have, you realise it's absolutely not necessary. Alright, I'm going to go that way. Go there, there. There. It's about as tidy as we're going to get it. Get in there. Groovy. Right, and that needs a bit of power. So I use these orbital stations. I like these. They've got nice wide coverage. I mean, you could. And I used to do this, you could plug these almost in the centre of things, you see. But you end up with a lot of Tesla towers. These are far easier. Okay. Ooh. Some people don't like the way these look, I do. On a planet, they mark out where you've got ore nodes. Yeah. Or where you've got something. So they're almost their orbital markers. You go, oh yeah, there's an ore node there, so I go down and have a look. Especially when it starts to run out. So I do like those, but they drain power. But power is not an issue. Why is that so low? Because it's doing nothing. Why are we doing nothing? Oh, here we go. This is nice. So production is stopping. Now there's 2 reasons for production stopping. One reason is that your supply chain is broken, so you've run out of resource on something. The other reason is that research has stopped. So I'm not producing any white science. Why am I not producing any white science? Because I have filled up all of my capacity for white science storage. So what should we do here? We're going to hit an upgrade. And I have a planet dedicated to doing research. We'll go and see that at some point, but do we want to go there now? Let's go there now. I have a planet dedicated to creating science, and I have a planet dedicated to processing science, storing and processing science. The only thing I've got to remember is where the hell it is. Look, all my ships have stopped. Ooh, they've all stopped. So everything goes silent. Oh no, look there, there's a few. I think it's in Mirror. And is it Mirror? Mirror 4? Let's go and have a look. Where are we now? Alpha Scorpio 2. Alright. So, Mirror 4 is only 4.9 light years away. Oh, is that build stopped as well? God damn it, everything's happening at the same time. That's okay. Alright, so we'll go to Mirror 4. Oh man, I don't want notifications. I'm gonna have to turn that sort of rubbish off. Go away, please. I am streaming. Okay, I'm back. Actually, we can talk when we stream. Just don't discuss personal stuff. I am actually streaming to the internet, to Twitch. If you want to watch me, you don't. But anyway, right. Sorry. Back to my audience of none. I'm practicing. Okay, this is you can't get good at something if you don't practice. So I'm just trying it out. It's only the second time I've streamed. Right, we're going to warp to Mirror 4. My FPS is in the toilet, but you'll understand why when you start to see some of my builds. 2 light years. I need to start. This is what I was saying about the speed. I need to start slowing down. 19 AU. I need to start slowing down, otherwise it's horrendous. And then just tickle it to get on target to the planet. Otherwise you end up overshooting. It's a real pain. There, look, bang. Where is it? Yeah, I've overshot it. I want them to add an autopilot button. It's like my mecha can travel fast. There's no reason to, and it is in a straight line. I'll speed that up. Right, as long as you're in warp, you don't crash land into the planet. As soon as you hit the orbit, you'll actually stop. You'll see this. So I've just got to keep on target on the planet, in the centre of the Doctor Who warp. Come on, give it a bit more. Oh, shift. Give it a bit more. I'm hoping this is the right planet. No. But it's an example. Is it Mirror? I usually record these. Record what's on them. Let's go and land. Let's see what this is. And you'll understand. Actually, we can discuss. My production method. So this is my production method. we can see we have the same basic layout. We're putting ILS at 5 grid spacings. I do a maximum of 10 assemblers in a row. That can feed virtually any production. There are only a few productions that can't be fed at that. If you start to go longer than that, you'll have problems, one, with supply, so you won't be able to feed the materials fast enough, and two, with output backing up. So output will back up on the conveyor and it won't be able to go into the tower fast enough. So by dividing this up into sections of 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 10, 4 rows, 40, times 20, that's 800 assemblers in a complete loop around the planet. In a complete loop, all the way around. Complete and continuous. So what's another thing you can do with a continuous loop? Well, when the production fills up, and it goes into the ILS, when the ILS fills up, you can allow that to go through. So I have the priority set to go into the ILS. This means that 10 becomes 20, becomes 30, becomes 40, becomes 50, all the way around the planet, and all of those production lines support one another. It means when a line gets depleted, it gets filled up very, very quickly. Once production hits once one of those ILS fills to 10,000, it fills up very, very quickly. I now only build in the equatorial zone. Why? Because as soon as you go into one of these tropics, into these tropic zones, there are 2 here, you can't use the same blueprints. So now I just build 5 bands. There's also another reason. I found that when you've got a certain amount of production on a planet, you can't get enough power on the planet, not with ray receivers. So when you look at this, this is because this planet has got some very fast orbit. It doesn't, you can see it flicking as it's going. It's got a very fast orbit. It doesn't stay in the sunlight for very long. So I had to put a lot more ray receivers on here than I usually do to be able to deliver the power. Power always at the poles. Poles have line of sight on the star. So the poles have a line of sight on the star. That's the right place to do it. If you do it on the equator, 50% of your power generation is off all the time. Whereas, as we can see here, less than 50%. So over 50% of my power generation is on all the time. Same for this side, on all the time, over 50%. So that's why I build at the poles. But wrong planet. It is the type of planet I'm looking for, but yes, good explanation. Oh, I was going to explain about the materials. See, to make electromagnetic turbines requires electric motors, which we're making here, and it requires magnetic coils, which have actually been made on another planet and then shipped here. So this is what I said about you only get 2 or 3 feeds, so 5 slots is more than enough. You know, 1 for warpers. You get some 3 feed, so you might get all 3 used. In fact, those are 3 feed. There we go, 3 feed. So they take steel ingots, gears, and magnetic coils. More than enough room. And each tower is set up the same. Electric motors in, okay, or in and out rather. So they're being created, put into that tower, shipped out, and it's demanding in plates. So we've got 20 inputs and outputs at every single stage around this planet. 200,000 electric motors being created. 200,000. In fact, there are 2 bands of them, I believe. So we're looking at 400,000 electric motors. Yeah, there we go. And then of course that has a pull on magnetic coils. Magnetic coils require magnets, so I ended up creating some magnets. They're actually being created on the inner planet, and then they're shipped. So when this is busy, we'll see ships going backwards and forwards. That's Mirror 1. So where the hell? It's not this system, because this is deuterium. Right, it's not this system, so which system is it? I do actually have a spreadsheet where I record what I build in each system. I've been a little bit slack with that recently, so Certainly I haven't recorded where I built the planet I call Deep Thought. So that was Miram, Alpha Scorpio. Wasn't Aspercy. It was a system with one planet, because that was why I did it. I think it's that one. 66 Comediontis. Let's go there. Let's go there. That's 10 light years away. Come on in. The journey of 1,000 miles starts with one step. Get out of the orbit of the planet. Once we're out, we can hit warp. Comediontis. Every single one of these systems that has a name against it has some form of production set up in it. But not quite to the level of the system that we're in now. Right, 14 AU, start to slow down. Right, 7 U's. Kick. Right, we get it there now. I'll stick at this rate. A bit more. So the purpose of this was to come and to observe an upgrade, a 500,000 upgrade, if this is the right planet, and I believe it is. It is. This is Deep Thought. This planet is dedicated to storing and processing universe matrices. That's all it does. 5 bands with 20 ILS per band. This is 1 million universe matrix storage. Let's hit research and then see what it does. So 15 tall matrix slabs. And it is processing. You can see they're flicking away down there. Should we go and land? That's all it does. And you can see that number top left. See that ticking away. It can process up to 1 million universe matrices within 2 minutes, I estimate. This will do 500,000 in 25 seconds. Upgrade complete. So, has my veins utilisation dropped down to 0? No, it's still sitting at 0.01% because the gains are so small at every single step now that does not tick down. But I will get to 0, and I believe it's level 150. So I believe when we hit level 150, it will do. But that's going to cost 576,000 universe matrices to do that, and this one's 578. So once I've done that, I will then do one of these, and that is it. I've uploaded 50 million universe matrices on this game. So that will just be now, it looks like it hasn't made a dent, but it has. 500,000 were processed. Okay, so these are going to now fill up again. They're going to be created. Production will kick off again. So that is now, this will now start to be ramping up. Everything will kick in again, and these will tick up to 3,744. All of these lines, except for these gravity matrices, will be higher because they're used to create warpers. But it will then tick that up until they're full, and then we'll do another upgrade. And so 3,744 per minute. If I need 500,000, divide 500,000 by 3,744, and that tells you how many minutes it's going to take to create them, which is a while. It's a few hours. Now I will eventually be ramping this up, but I think by the time I get to that point I probably won't need to. Okay, production will now kick off again. We can see things are kicking in. Strange matter, etc. Ingots, so that's going to start up again. We'll start to see systems getting busy. So I built this here because there really wasn't a lot else here. There was a bit of stone, wasn't a great deal of iron, no other really supporting planets. I built a big Dyson Sphere to be able to supply power for it. This is my standard design. 1,442 nodes, all joined around a standard star. Around one luminosity will give you around 30 gigawatts of usable power. If you've got maximum power usage, generally per planet is around 10 gigawatts. So we're looking at what are we looking at? 10 gigawatts. So let's say it can support 3 planets easily, 4 planets. It might need to pump it up if you were going to 5. The idea for this concept is to reduce load on the game as much as possible. I don't use solar sails. The game, as you can see, is lagging like mad anyway, because I've got so many objects built. So I keep these down to bare skeletons, bare minimum. I'm even thinking of stripping back the original homeworld Dyson Sphere, which is 8 layers and 106 gigawatts of power generation. I don't need 106 gigawatts in that system, so I may strip that back and then bring it down to something a bit more reasonable, and hopefully that will reduce the load in that system. But I've also got planets that are packed to the pole to pole with production, so I need to strip that back as well, which means moving those production lines to other systems. I'm hoping that will reduce the load. I mean, frame rate in that system is in the toilet. Okay, so you've seen Deep Thought, same modular concept, yeah, materials in, production. This one doesn't have any sort of pass-through because it doesn't need to. That was very easy to set up. I built one of these and then just replicated it around the planet, and then I blueprinted the entire band and I stamped out 5 of them, and that was it. That was job done. But setting up these planets, this is a Dyson Sphere build blueprint that I have, sort of. It actually comes with a ring of rocket launchers. These 4 bands of ray receivers aren't here, aren't there? Sorry. It comes with a small ring of ray receivers, and it comes with another band of ILS and artificial suns that power the planet whilst we're building the Dyson Sphere. And it just brings in rockets and launches rockets. Now it's 50 launchers, 100 launchers on the planet. That's more than enough to build a Dyson Sphere. I'm not decommissioning them at this stage. I'm at the point in the game where I'm just leaving them there. If at some point performance of the game is improved significantly, then I will I will need these deployed to build more layers on a Dyson Sphere, because ultimately your Dyson Sphere power generation corresponds to your score. And what is my score at? My score is not as high as many other people, but my system doesn't have a great number of Type O stars in it, for example. So what is my score at? Scanning the Milky Way. That's slow. That's bugged. Normally this whizzes up. Alright, it is going. I've seen this far faster before. Lots of people playing this game. Where's my system? There's Simrian. And I've managed to generate 1.35 terawatts. I'm the only engineer here. This game is from very early. In fact, it's the first game that I started, and I've continued to build in it. When the updated planets came out, I did not think that was enough of a game-changing change to create a new game. I certainly didn't want to lose all the research that I'd done. So I did not start a new game, and I've continued to build this game. There are 64 stars in this system. That's 64 Dyson Spheres that I need to build. So until I've done that, one of two things is going to happen. I'm either going to build 64 Dyson Spheres, or my resources are going to run out. So whichever happens first, happens first. And I've gone out and ring-fenced materials that I need, that are being shipped, especially iron ore. There's more iron ore. The further you go out from the centre, the more iron ore there is. So that's all being shipped. But here, this is my centre of production. I'm trying to keep distances between planets as close as possible. I've got to remember where I was now. I was in Alpha Scorpio, wasn't I? Alpha Scorpio. And I'm upside down. And I was on Alpha Scorpio 2 Volcanic Ash. Yeah. So I've set a line up. You can hardly see it. Some of these graphics are so fine. There is a line there. So I've now set navigation back to that system. Right, but that's the system working. Is everything optimal? Probably not. Since I started only putting 5 bands on a planet, I can't get full production lines. You know, all the material, all the components that I need for particular productions, stuff has to be shipped. But I'm sort of resigned to the fact that stuff has to be shipped anyway. So I'm okay with that. It means that things have to be. But if I gravitate around Canis Majoris, so I'm choosing the systems that are the nearest to Canis Majoris as being the centre of my homeworld, basically. It's the only Mediterranean planet in the sector, so I don't want to abandon it. I think a lot of people do. I actually love the planet, and I want that to remain being my homeworld. So have a look at this. This was that's just my went to bikes. There you go. I told you that this is where magnetic coils are being created, and that's where they're being shipped to. And it's actually shipping magnets to create the magnetic coils. There's a lot of traffic. That's as local as I can make it, without doing it all on one planet. And I found that doing it all on one planet just kills the frame rate. So I don't. I'm trying to keep load light on the planets and then just rely on ships. These are not interstellar, so they don't use warpers, so it doesn't matter. And I've had a thick band between there doing that before, so that's just light traffic compared to what it has been. Right, let's go back to the other planet. Where am I? I'm in there. So let's get up into orbit. 7.5 light years away. See, I'm trying to keep everything close. Everything that needs to be is relatively close. Let's get out of orbit. There we go. Now we can hit. And back to Alpha Scorpio. And continue sorting out the sulphuric acid crisis. .26 AU, I need to start dropping the speed. Which one was it? 2? I think it was 2. I think it was 2. There's no collision detection in this game, so you can fly through anything. It's in front of the sphere. Ooh. And we're home. Well, current home. Right, we need to actually, one of the things I will kick off is I need to kick off some more Dyson Sphere construction. As I said, I stopped building that when I set it up because I literally couldn't see on the screen where I was placing the lines. That interface needs a lot of work. Just one of the things I will cover, I've got a few mods installed on this game. But nothing that is cheating, I consider anyway. Better stats gives you that estimated. Sphere progress gives you, it's brilliant, gives you count structure points that are being built, so you can tell how many rockets you're going to need to produce. Brilliant. Sphere editor tools, that enables you to turn off layers, and you really need that. And it also has a facility to do a symmetrical build. Now, I build all my Dyson Spheres the same. I'm functional, not artistic, so I just want to make sure that they are as efficient and as uniform as possible. Ideally, I'd like to be able to blueprint them and just copy and paste a design. I am aware that there are some blueprint copy, some Dyson Sphere blueprint copy mods out there, but they only copy the existing radius, and the existing radius is no good to me because I want a max radius, and that varies from star to star. DSP sector resource spreadsheet generator. This is, I suppose, could be considered cheating. I pulled all the data for all the planets in my sector. I do believe that once you've visited a sector, you should be able to see what resources are present there, and you can't. And so the only way to be able to get data for systems that you're not in is to use something like that. The last time I used that was back in May, so I have not used it since. But yes, that is something that I do like. I like data. I don't want to be in a position where I click on a system and I've been there and I've set up production. I can't see what's in it. I think that's wrong. I think that is a thing that needs to be fixed. Yeah, I've been there. Oh yeah, I've detected that there's things there. Yeah, it's a nonsense, right? Signal detected. I ran out of unipolar magnets 300 hours into the game. So there are no unipolar magnets there. So that's a bug. Anyway, rant over on that. It's just my thing. I like data. I want to be able to see what's present. So back to what we were doing here, and what we were doing here. Where's north? Oh yes, we're going to build out the Dyson Sphere. Kick that off again. See, look at this. It's almost invisible. It's invisible. Can't see it. Particular problem around a blue giant. Anyway, but it's not when you create it. It's bright green. So I'm going to. This is where I'll turn some stuff off. We're going to build the bottom. We're going to at least plan it out. And I'm using the Sphere editor tools because that has a symmetrical build feature. And at the moment this is doing this, so I want to do M for mirror on. Let's do mirror on. let's get it set up first, and then we'll go from there. Mirror is on. Can we have some symmetry, please? Rotation 5. Rotation 5. What's going on there? Oh, it's picked a point on the other side. There we go. And this is how I'm going to build this out quickly. Bingo. That nearly worked there. Boom. Boom. This is what I'm saying. You can't see. You need to do some sort of depth of field, so you can see what the hell you're drawing. Because I can't see that. Is that right? That isn't right. Is that right? Yes, it is. Yeah, it's right. Oh, it's building stuff at the top end. I don't want to do it now. I don't want. So I don't want the mirror on. Mirror off. I just want the symmetrical build facility on this. Right. Symmetrical build. It took me a while to suss this out. There aren't any instructions on the author's website. That doesn't look right to me. Something's gone terribly awry. God damn it. That is not correct. That is not correct, and that's the reason. Right. Because this should be a pentagram. Better. This is the closest grid spacing that you can create on a triangular grid. Barking here. Better. Right, now I'm into the zone. I'll have this built in no time now. Well, at the speed of Dyson Sphere anyway. This is the issue, because so much visual noise on the screen you can't see what the hell you're doing. You can see we've already added, if we look down here, this is the sphere progress thing. We've already added 30,000 structure points, just under 29,000. Yeah, 29,000 structure points to this design. Just with that, that is 29,000 rockets. So you need to be producing a lot of rockets to build these. 29,000 rockets, and if you've played Dyson Sphere, you'll know that producing just one rocket is a significant undertaking in its own, let alone the 248,000 that I've already produced to go into this Dyson shell. But that's the game, and that's why I'm at 1,900 hours. I love this. This is brilliant. There's lots of entertainment value on it. It's challenging. It's not too challenging. Once you get your upgrades up, it becomes a lot easier, and then it's just about scale and about. But the game is constantly changing. It's constantly giving you a new challenge to overcome. You know, you create capacity in one area, creates demand in another area. It's just absolute fun. It's a self-feeding problem. And I'm very pleased with it. I've definitely got my money out of the game. So I'm going to build this down to that line, at which point it will probably become so noisy that I won't be able to see what I'm doing. If I can continue and actually close the sphere design, all well and good. I'm going to produce all those rockets anyway, So I've already added, over 100,000 rockets to structure points, which is rockets, to this design. 100,000. Now I've got on the planet in the home system 200,000 rockets. So they're in storage, but it's down to pure production capacity. There's no point in launching them faster than you can create them. So I'm launching at 100 at a time here. I think the maximum I've had rocket launching up to is around 175, probably about 1,000 hours ago, and it just tugs on everything, so it doesn't matter, it's going to get completed eventually. This Dyson Sphere is way above any sort of production that I could possibly need or demand in this system, so this is purely for the Milky Way score, and the fact that I like to have I want a Dyson Sphere, I want a sphere around the star. And if they ever sort out the performance issues, I will fill them in with solar sails as well. At some point I'll take you to Homeworld and we'll show you what that Dyson Sphere looks like, because that one's I suppose where I refined all my techniques. In fact, the home system is where I came up with the strategies that I use in the game. Right, that's built. That is now going to require 492,000 rockets. 249 are already deployed, obviously, according to those stats down here. I could continue to build another band. I might even do so. Just a point to note, there are 5 equal divisions here. There are 5 equal divisions at the top, that's 10. And that is actually 50% of the sphere, because there are 10 around the middle. I'm really quite pleased with that symmetry tool, because it enables you to do this. It means you've only got to draw 1/5 of the entire sphere. It's still a fifth. So we'll have this closed up. Let's continue to build until I can't see. I mean, that's really the stopping point. It's when I really can't see where I'm going to place the next line. That's when I stop building. And I had to stop with the, as you can see with that green. If I was trying to build green on green like that, that's impossible. You can't see it. I need to fade that out so that in the back, in the distance, we can hide the sun as well. Hide the star. You can also turn off the runtime. We can see we're launching rockets now. So that's launching 100 at a time, 5 times per minute. So that's 500 rockets a minute being deployed. That's more than enough for me. I've been up to more than double that. But I don't need to stress my system, so I don't. It'll get built. There we go. So as we crawl up here, as we crawl up the bands, it's just going to start to get noisier and noisier, and we won't be able to see what we're building. And at that point we'll stop, because it's just pointless exercise. And just wait for it to be built, and then build the next section next time. It's already getting noisy. What do we think that's going to be? If that was 47 gigawatts for the top, that's another 47 for the bottom. Let's say 45, so that's 90. And that's half it. So this is going to be around 180 gigawatts. That's pretty good. For one max radius shell. Okay, as long as I keep it tilted like this, I can see where I'm clicking next. Clickety click click. Brilliant. Oh, something's gone wobbly. Alright, fix that. That's going to be a pain. Is it? No, it's not. Because it's symmetrical, because it's creating those 5 points of symmetry. You could increase it to 10 here, I suppose, because I said it's 10. 5 works. There we go, we're all done. 5 is it? 5 is the magic number. I think it would be nice to get the design closed, because then I can just forget it, and that will just continue to build for the next coming days, weeks. It won't be weeks, but it'll be days. I settled on the triangular grid because it's uniform in every direction. The square grid is not. That's not strictly true. It isn't actually precisely uniform in every direction. There's some stretching going on, but it's more uniform than a square grid. And I found that regardless of the sphere diameter, there are always 1,442 nodes. That's these points. 1,442, always, without fail. That was a revelation. So I was like, oh, okay. The only variable then is the distance between the nodes. Each node takes 30 rockets to build. We're nearly there. We're heading up to that line. We're soldering on. What was I saying? Oh yeah, each node 30 rockets. Then the variable is the number of structure points between each node, and that is a product of sphere radius, and sphere radius is a product of star brightness and star. It's got to be star radius, because blue giant is like a 4.5 Sol radius, so it's much bigger than a standard star. This is a 1.92. I don't know we'll check its radius in a minute, but this is quite big. It doesn't really give you the scale. It doesn't really give an indication of the scale, apart from the fact the lines get thinner. When you're on the smaller stars, the lines are quite thick. I do think they need to sort the scaling out on that, because it's very hard to see. Maybe they'll do that in the future. So you've got an issue with the fact that you can't see lines, and you have an issue with the fact that there are lines that you can see that are interfering with your view. Doesn't stop you from playing though, so that's pretty good. Come on, look, we're nearly there. Nearly got the design closed. And I can't see where I'm placing, where I'm clicking there. The minimum distance is 3 grids, so pretty much you're sort of locked into this grid anyway. You're locked into it. So that's cool. Nearly there. This band, next band, design is closed, job done, and we can leave that to build. It's already up to 915,000 rockets, so that's nearly 1 million rockets that are going to be required to build this. That's in total. Yeah, so that's for all of the. Have I cocked up there? No, that is okay. See, if that was green behind there, I would not be able to see it. There we go. It's just this zigzag to fill in, because this line, let's just check it. Yeah, that line. There we go. If we're getting close, you can see it. But then you can't build quickly. Whee, and it's a bit woo, a little bit wee. Moves about. so I don't get out further. Nearly there, nearly there. The design is about to be closed, and that is done. Alright, so that is a lot of rockets to launch. But it will happen. 953,000 rockets. It will be one huge Dyson Sphere. Yeah. Okay. I think I'm going to leave it there. There's a lot more to do on this. Clearly, as you can see, all I've done is blueprinted out the stations. I want to set up all the mining. I've illustrated what we're doing here. If I go back to where I landed, we're going to do more of the same. Orientate. Where's the North Pole? There. We're going to be doing more of the same. We're going to be putting miners around ore nodes. Like that. As many as possible. Oh, well, I'm going to do that one. Yep. Let's see if I can pack 6 in there. Probably won't do that. I probably will go there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 4. 5. Drawing on an ore node of 824,000, but with my veins utilisation, it's going to be worth about 8 million. So it's a lot. In fact, possibly more. So yeah, that's actually worth mining. But then we're going to be doing more of the same with this. Has that got no ships? It's got 10 ships. They're all away. Look, they're all away delivering. Right. So let's go. That's running at capacity. That is running at capacity, delivering iron ore. And it's scoping. Look, filling up. Yeah, constantly busy. And this one too, I would imagine. No, that one's not busy. That's one of the weird things, like how it chooses to prioritise, why it doesn't load balance. Perhaps that will come in future updates. You get one station that's being caned and another one that's sitting idle. But it's set up, and when they do resolve it, that will all start to work, so it's not a problem. Right. I think that that covers this this stream. Thank you very much for watching. I do like Dyson Sphere. It's available on Steam. Do buy it. It's if you like this type of game, it is absolutely brilliant. I can't recommend it enough. It's been one of the best finds for an early access game that I've ever encountered. Bearing in mind, I normally play action role-playing games, so this is for me quite a bit of a departure. But it's not a genre that I'm unfamiliar with. I've played building games before, but not one that I poured this many hours into, because it's just so enjoyable. It's so pleasant, so chilled, so relaxed. It's definitely worth the £15 or whatever it was I paid for it. Highly recommend it. And look, these I will stick into a tower at some point when I set up some mining. We were doing that, weren't we? We were setting up some titanium. Did I plug the titanium in? And there's the question. There it is. No, I didn't. So, I'm going to put the titanium down the bottom because that's secondary to this planet's purpose. And then I'm going to put some local demand. And that is what we're going to do all the way over the planet. Right. I think that covers the. That's a terrible noise. I normally play this without the sound on, but I appreciate that you want some feedback other than just my voice. So yeah, that's the planet working, doing what it's supposed to do. We're just going to build out the other 50% of it. All the rest of that all the way around. And use all this as well, if we can. And that will be it. Right, thank you for watching, and see you in the next stream. Bye bye.